Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Limbus Company video. Today we're going to be using the new Dimension Shredder E.G.O. He is a pretty good charge identity, which is the main type of identity he is. Like, he is rupture, but honestly, his rupture is not really that good, all things considered. And the reason why I say that is because he is competing with both W Corp E.G.O. and also Wu E.G.O. for the spot on any rupture team, really. And frankly speaking, I think both of them are better rupture identities than this one. For W Corp, it's simply because he has better rupture count application. Like, for Dimension Shredder, the only way he actually can inflict rupture count is with the Dimensional Rift status effect, and he only inflicts one of it on his skill 2, and then 2 on his skill 3. Which, if he is using his enhanced skill 3, it's technically 4 because it reuses the coin, and when it does reuse that coin, it gets the extra, what am I saying? It gets to inflict the status effect twice. And because of that, like, on his own, he is rupture count negative for all of his skills. Now, of course, with that said, all E.G.O. identities are actually capable of being rupture count neutral. And that is because his Dimension Shredder E.G.O. gives him the ability to have an extra 3 rupture count for all of his skills for a single turn. Okay, where was I? Had to kind of lock in for a second there for this fight. It's pretty difficult, honestly. Mostly because the dead rabbits are being really, really, really annoying, but in any case, the Dimension Shredder E.G.O, right? It's the main reason why any of E.G.O.'s identities are even remotely good in regards to their... I really need to just shut up and lock in for this fight. It's really difficult. Like, I'm going to get staggered this next turn. Almost guaranteed. And it rolls heads, which means it doesn't stagger. And there we go. That should be enough. Okay, what was I talking about? The Dimension Shredder E.G.O, right? The Dimension Shredder E.G.O is very, how shall we say? It's very strong. It's by far the best part. It's the strongest thing for any rupture identity for E.G.O, because it does give them the extra rupture count that they need to actually be able to pretty much do anything, really. It's one of the main reasons why, like, all of the any E.G.O rupture identity you have, why they don't really have too good rupture count application, because they have access to the dimension shredder E.G.O, and therefore they don't actually need to have very good rupture count application because it can provide it for them. And to that end, it basically means that whichever of Yi-Song's rupture identities are actually capable of activating that E.G.O as quickly as possible, they are automatically just better identities than any of the other rupture identities. And that's honestly the biggest problem with this identity in particular, I would say, is the fact that he can't actually fuel his own E.G.O. Because the Dimension Shredder E.G.O, it requires 3 Gluttony and 3 Sloth, which this identity has no Sloth skills at all, so he can't even activate the E.G.O on his own. And that's the main reason why I'd say the other rupture identities are just better rupture identities, because they can actually activate that E.G.O on their own. Of course, with that said, there is the... With that said, there is the fact that this identity, he honestly, his main focus isn't really on rupture. Yes, he is rupture, but he's more of a charge identity than a rupture identity. And he is, to that end, he is actually significantly better than, you know, W-Corp Song, for example. And that's mostly because, well, W-Corp Song simply doesn't actually have any good benefit to spending charge. Like, W-Corp Song, he gets extra rupture count on his skill 3. Basically, that's it. He just gets even better rupture application for spending charge. Alright, where was I? Talking about charge. How this identity actually interacts with charge is somewhat unique, and it revolves a bit around his evade skill, honestly. Because most of his skills don't actually gain that much charge, all things considered. And that's mostly to do with the fact that all of them actually do consume charge count. His skill 1 consumes 2, his skill 2 consumes 5, and then his skill 3 consumes up to 15. And because of the amount of charge he actually gains with each of his skills, it basically means that if you also count the single charge decay at the end of a turn, his skill 1 only gives him 3 charge count, his skill 2 gives him 0 charge count, and his skill 3, well, it's a regular skill 3 for pretty much every charge identity, so it doesn't actually give him any charge count. However, his defense skill does still give him... It does still end up giving him a little bit of charge count as well, which helps to... It helps to increase the amount of charge he can actually gain from that. Because whenever he has below 7 charge count, his defense skill will give him 7 charge count. And then, in addition to that, it also gives him charge barrier if he has equal to his charge potency. So, It doesn't actually give him anything on turn 1, but every turn afterwards it will give him at least 1 extra charge count at the end of the turn. But in addition to this, it also gives him the Dimensional Castaway status effect, which basically makes it so that if he is using a skill 1, it gives it an extra coin. And if another ally attacks an enemy, he will consume it to use a free skill 1 as well. So that basically means that his defense skill, if you use it on turn 1, it gives him effectively 10 charge count on turn 1, which is very, very good. I'll continue this thought in a second here, but right now we're just taking the Mana Shape music box and the Curriculum Vitae. Very useful. And for the next floor, let's see what we get. I guess we'll do the Magic Hell Bus because it got us good stuff. And that's the Nebulizer. Into the next fight.
적들이 뭔가 기분이 좋아 보이는 것 같아. 카론 기분 나빠.
Now, as I was saying, what was I saying? Right, his evade skill gives him 10 charge count on turn 1. The only issue is that after turn 1, it basically gives him nothing other than the extra skill 1 as well as the charge barrier. So it still gives him some charge count after turn 1, but not really a whole lot, honestly. And all things considered, it doesn't even really... It doesn't really change anything at all about the actual time it takes for him to be able to activate his skill 3. Because no matter what, it will always take him 3 turns to charge it up. So we can only ever end up using the enhanced version of it on turn 4 at the very least. Of course, in the Mirror Dungeon, that's a different story, but for the most part, outside of the Mirror Dungeon, that is the time to activation. It's 4 turns. And there's really no way to change that, because he simply doesn't gain enough charge count on his own to be able to do it any faster than that. And all things considered... Hold on a second, I think we're dead here, yeah. Wow. Crabs are scary. What was I talking about? I got distracted again. The thing is, with his evade skill, if you do use that first, it isn't actually any different to if you never use it at all. He will still take the same 4 turns to be able to use his enhanced skill 3, even if you don't use his evade at all and are just using his regular skills. It's basically the same amount of charge count that he gains from that, so... It's not really any different. However, the one thing that changes it, and does actually make it so that using his evade skill is actually better is the fact that it also gives him his secondary status effect of, what's it called again? The quadricolor dimension status effect. Which that is a status effect that gives him various effects. It gives offense level, defense level, extra damage equal to his charge potency, as well as, and this is the most crucial one extra charge count whenever he gains charge count. That alone makes it so that it doesn't really change much about it, but it does make it so that every single time he uses his skill 3 after the first one, it makes it so that he has an easier time activating it afterwards. So while it does take him 4 turns the first time, it can take him only like 3 turns and any time afterwards because of that one extra charge count. And that's basically how he plays. You build up his charge count by using his evade skill so that he gains the quadricolor dimensions, which, honestly, anytime before, I say that it's a good thing that he gains it. It's really that he gains it when using his dimensional castaway. That's the real thing when he gains it. Because in his passive here it says he gains the quadricolor dimensions from dimensional castaway. It's hard for him to build it up without actually using his enhanced skill 3, simply because it always depletes by 1 at the end of the turn. And so if you aren't getting multiple per turn, then it won't do anything at all. And the reason why you need to use his enhanced skill 3 to do it is because his enhanced skill 3 instantly gives him the max amount of it automatically. So it's the only real way to guarantee that he always has the max of it, and he needs at least 3 to be able to gain that extra charge count. The 4th one is the damage boost, which is nice, but not as important as that extra charge count. So it's very, very important to always make sure he has at least 3 of that quadricolor dimension status effect. Emerald Elytra, very nice. Smoking gunpowder, sure. Anything else? Doesn't look like it. Ooh, wrist guards. And UPS system, nice. And we're just gonna sacrifice the smoking gunpowder. Womp womp. Fragment of friction. Not the charge gloves. Oh well. I really do like this identity. Like, the Wayward Passenger is easily one of my favorite Limbus Company abnormalities. He's like right after the King in Binds, in my opinion. He's just really cool. So having an identity that embodies him is just, I love it. It's great. That's not very good. I think we might lose here. This is why the crabs are pretty difficult for evades. They can outroll your evades by 1 point. We're still alive. Barely. The crabs are doing more damage to themselves than we are. It's pretty typical, all things considered. Unfortunately, I don't think we can actually use an enhanced skill 3 here. Because we gain 8 charge count from the skill 1s. And that's only 14. Not the 15 required. Ah, well, we lose. Alright, let's hope we can get a little bit luckier with the crabs rolls so we can actually evade everything. But anyways, as I was saying, I do really like this identity. He's really fun, but also the fact that Dimension Shredder is easily one of my favorite abnormalities makes him just that much better.
매우 효과적인 청소입니다. 워프율차 연산 시스템은 해당 행동의 약 14%의 정리 기여도가 있음을 판단했습니다.
However, with that said, there are a few things about this identity that I'm not the biggest fan of, all things considered. One of them, as I've already mentioned, is the fact that this identity doesn't actually fuel his own ego. And building off of that, it's also a bit that I don't really like that he doesn't have any sort of unique interaction when it comes to that ego in the first place. Obviously, he does benefit from it very, very well, but so does literally every charge, rupture, Yi-Song identity, so that's not really saying a whole lot. He doesn't get any sort of unique benefit from it, and in my opinion, he should get at least a little bit of something. Like, I think it should have the same effect as if he uses his skill 3, for example. This line right here, where he gains 1-dimensional castaway and 1 quadricolor dimensions. I think if he uses the ego, he should get these 2 status effects from them. But he doesn't. Not a huge deal breaker, but it is definitely something that is not the greatest, in my opinion. And then the second thing that I don't really particularly like about this identity is actually that dimensional castaway status effect. Because unlike the quadricolor dimensions, if you're only using him with a single skill slot, he can only ever gain 1 of it per turn. Either from his evade skill or his skill 3, and that's the only way he can do it. And at face value, that doesn't seem like it's an issue at all, but the main thing that makes it very awkward is the fact that his skill 1 has that line that says it consumes 1 dimensional castaway to reuse this coin. However, his passive already consumes 1 dimensional castaways to use the skill 1 when another ally uses any attack. And so if he only has 1 skill slot, he can only gain 1 dimensional castaway per turn, which means that it will almost always activate on the ally's skill use before it can ever get that coin reuse.
세상이 평화로워지는 건 기쁜 거야.
Of course, with that said, it's not impossible for him to gain that coin reuse.
내일도 지금처럼 조용하려나?
And there's Lightning Rod and Red Syngocypium, as well as the cigarette holder. And obviously taking this floor, but anyways. Here we go. Spent use forming hate, pretty good. And the Knight's Blessing. Hopefully. Easy. Anything good here? Probably not. If I had to guess, there's the night vision goggles. Not very useful currently, but it's something. In fact, it's better to just sacrifice them to get the charge type gloves.
입에서 갑자기 쓴맛이. 위험한 일이 있을 때마다 이랬는데.
I always keep forgetting what I'm talking about. It hasn't even been like a minute and I've already forgotten.
정의의 이름으로 지금
Also, hi Queenie, love ya.
囚人の皆さんの状態に
Alright, Dimensional Castaway, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, it's just like, if he has a single skill slot, meaning if you're actually using him in a full team, he's almost never going to be able to actually take advantage of the coin reuse. So it's like, it's nice
벗어날 수 없는 벌레인 거야?
in context of like fights like soloing. If you're soloing with him, it's nice for him to have that coin reuse because it means his skill 1 does a lot more damage. But if you're using him in a team, it's basically useless. The only situation where it is actually useful, or I should say the only situation where you can actually take advantage of that coin reuse, is if he happens to be the slowest identity on the turn he uses his skill 3, specifically his skill 3, because the evade skill gives it at combat start, whereas the skill 3 is on use. So if he is the slowest identity, when he uses his skill 3, he will gain Dimensional Castaway and he will keep it for the next turn. Then, if he is the fastest identity on the field after that, he can use his skill 1 and it will gain the coin reuse from that way. Or you could use his evade skill on the turn after, and then he will have 2 Dimensional Castaway. So when he does end up reusing the coin,
정의보다도 푸른 살, 사랑보다 붉은 살.
it ends up using both of the Dimensional Castaway, and thus he gets the coin reuse as well. But that's the only situation where he can actually use it at all.
방금 어떻게 하신 거죠?
And because of that, it's kind of confusing as to like why he even has it in the first place, you know? Because if he only had one of them, like it's even in the situation where you want to use the coin, it's like you don't want to use the coin multiple times. That's actually worse. Getting the coin reuse is actually worse for him because if he reuses the coin, it doesn't give him the charge count from his skill 1, whereas if he uses the skill instead, then he still gets the charge count.
운명 속에 파묻힌 그대의 이름을 걸.
So in reality, you never actually, if you're using him in a full team, you never actually want to use the coin reuse on his skill 1, because as you can see, it says once per skill for the charge count, but because of that, you'd always prefer to use 2 skill 1s as opposed to having an extra coin on a single skill 1. It's just strange that it even has that coin reuse when in a team it's actually a detriment to use it. It's literally only there for solos, and that's basically it. It's very strange, in my opinion. Other than that, though, he is a very good identity. He's a very satisfying one to use. He's pretty strong with his skill 3, especially if you are attacking a single target. Like, honestly, the Knight of Despair here isn't the best showcase of him because his skill 3 does have unfocused volley, and because half of her swords are invincible, he can't really do anything at all against the knight. Or I should say his skill 3 just isn't really that effective. Also, unfortunately, the charge type gloves here kind of screw us over, so we can't actually use our enhanced skill 3 when we're on the same turn we're using our evade skill, because if you have more than 15 charge count, the evade skill consumes 10 charge count, which with a charge type gloves doubling it, that's 20, which means you need... If you are using the evade skill on the same turn as the skill 3, that means you need to have a total of 35 charge count in order to be able to use the enhanced skill 3 with the charge type gloves and the evade. Not the easiest thing, all things considered. Thunder Branch and the Unchosen. And the Standard Duty Battery. Now we're a really, really powerful Rupture identity. Could double down. Take Thrill. But no. I am looking for something that we do not get. Murder on the Warp Express. Thank you very much. Ooh, gray coat. Very nice. W Corp hat. The portable battery barrier. And can we get the other one? Maybe. Yes, we can. The E-type dimensional dagger. And we can also get a skill 3. Curriculum vitae is not actually that useful, all things considered. I prefer to get rid of a skill 2, honestly. The skill 1's better. But now we get this, the Cleanup Agent Gear Set C. It's pretty much completely normal from what it does before, but they did add this last line right here. Among identities that inflict dimensional rift, count them as W Corp identities. This is literally added for this identity alone. He is, with this E.G.O gear, considered a W Corp identity. Very nice. And now we fight Cassetti. Not a particularly difficult fight. But, I mean, it's Cassetti, what do you expect? One of the coolest things about him is, like, much like all of the other W Corp identities, and also the Dimension Shredder, E.G.O itself, when this identity uses his skill 3, it gets the special warning siren sound effect in this fight, which is pretty cool.
방금 어떻게 하신 거죠? 깜짝 놀랐어요. 제 앞에 책이 큰 피해를 준 것 같아. 이 팀의 직원들
I messed up here. Didn't get the skill order right. It's always difficult to understand exactly how in what order the skills are going to be coming through in fights like this where the enemies are so weird. I don't actually know how much charge we will get from this skill 1. Okay, we did get enough to fuel the skill 3. I wasn't sure about that.
한번 휘두른 걸로 이렇게 나? 완전 멋있는 걸?
징계팀 직원이라면 당연한 판단이겠네. 잘했다는 칭찬은 생각하는 게 좋겠지.
반역의 죄는 소형이 마땅하리라.
특이성 감지 센서.
And here's Cassetti.
위험 인물의 활동성이 증가했는지 확인하시길 권장드립니다.
Should be pretty easy to defeat him, especially with 2 skill 3s that we're going to be able to pull off here. Yeah, he's already basically at half health after one of them.
인사부서에 해당 요원에 대한 평가를 성신합니다.
Unfortunately, that didn't actually have enough charge. Oh well. It's because we missed the first coin on the skill 2 because it was evade. He needs to hit that coin in order to get the charge from the skill 2. Nothing useful here. Oh well. And for the final floor, LCB regular checkup. Why not? We have Grey Coat. We have a skill with attack weight. It's probably fine. Maybe? Question mark. Finifugality. Very nice. Bloody Gadget and Illusory Hunt. Pretty cool. Anything else? Probably not. Now the big thing here is that I'm very scared. I'm very scared of Hohenheim, specifically because of the charge type gloves. I just know the charge type gloves are gonna screw me over. Because our only real source of healing is the Grey Coat currently, and the defibrillator, but that's really, really weak. And because our only way to actually heal from Grey Coat is from... It's from the enhanced skill 3. That means that we need to have 15 charge count every turn in order to actually be able to heal from Grey Coat. And with the charge type gloves constantly just devouring all of our charge every single turn, it's going to be difficult to actually make sure that it works properly. Hopefully Rupture will carry. And speaking of Rupture, I think the best course of action here is to actually start with the E.G.O. Dimension Shredder. What does it make us fatal to? Nothing relevant. Yeah. Turn on Dimension Shredder to make sure that we don't actually accidentally kill a Rupture stack. And then just hopefully Grey Coat plus the Rip Space E.G.O gear is enough. One of the big problems and the main reason why I wanted to get rid of the charge type gloves is actually because of the evade. Because we can't use the evade and the enhanced skill 3 in the same turn. At least not very efficiently, because it always consumes at least 10 charge count, which with the charge type gloves, yeah, it doubles it to 20. And that basically means that, like I said before, you more or less need twice the amount of... You need 35 charge count to be able to use both it and the enhanced skill 3 in the same turn. Not the most reliable thing in the world. But at least Rupture will be able to help us quite a bit. Honestly, I don't really want to use anything more than like a single skill 3 every turn. I might be taking this too cautiously, honestly, seeing how well we're doing right now.
한 상체가 탈출했어. 죽지도 않으면서 오래 고통을 느끼는 괴물 새끼들.
I think we should be able to take a little bit of risk here. As long as we make sure that the enhanced skill 3 is always going off. Ouch. That hurt. SP, that's kind of irrelevant. We'll do the poise. I am taking this very cautiously. I just don't want to accidentally lose to Hohenheim here. He's very scary. He's always scary. I have no idea how we're getting charged, by the way, so my math is completely off here. That's a staggered Hohenheim. Makes him even scarier.
잘 드네요. 아마 그
But I think we're fine. Scary fight.
힘껏 찔러.
Probably would have been a lot harder if I kept the charge type gloves, but
언젠가 다시
that's why I got rid of them.
길을 잃지도 늦지도 않았어. 다행이다. 정말 다행이다.
And that's how I beat Mirror Dungeon 7 hard using only Dimension Shredder Yi-Song. Like I said, he is a very powerful charge identity. Or more or less a fairly average charge identity who's got some very, very flashy effects going on. But there are some minor things that are just honestly very questionable, specifically with how he has virtually no unique effects with his own ego, and even more egregious, he can't even fuel his own ego. But ultimately, they're minor issues that don't really have much impact on how strong this identity really is. And that's the real thing you need to take away. He's very good, but some things are a little unnecessary in his kit, in my opinion. In any case, that's it from me. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.